All right, everybody. Welcome to day 4 of our little fireside chats. Sans the fireplace. Um, Putting together what we talked about so far: overspending, credit cards, over taxing, over fees, why we're getting into debt. Yesterday, a little breakdown about stocks, the market, looking at all the totality of everything, not just one. Data is not isolated, right? The stock market influences Bitcoin, which influences the treasury and all those sorts of things. So kind of putting it together and financial picture. Now we'll get to a little bit of the more, deeper stuff, right? And this is, what are we doing it for, right? So we have jobs, we work, we do our thing. What is it for? And when you start to look at it, like, okay, what are we doing in our day-to-day? Why are we spending so much money? Why are we buying all this crap we don't need, right? This is going to turn into a little bit of a minimalism thing. But I watched that movie, The Minimalist, years back. The Netflix documentary might still be out there. I think they even did a second one. Basically, like, we buy a bunch of crap we don't need to impress people we don't care about. And we end up working harder in this whole cycle, right? Look, what are we doing? Why do we have as much stuff as we do? And it wasn't until I saw the big garbage claw, literally clawing through the garbage, that you think about what you throw out on a day-to-day. What the hell is everybody else throwing out? Plastics and nonsense. And I'm not a big environmental guy, but if you start to think of it that way, it's pretty disturbing what we're actually doing. And it's like, why, right? What are we buying things for? Why are we falling into this consumerism thing? Because the stuff we buy actually then owns us, right? I've gotten to the point I hate buying things, because when I buy something, I have to store it. Then I have to take care of it. And then I either have to store it somewhere where I'm going to forget where it is, or I have to take care of it in a way that it's going to take me away from something else, right? I have to clean my garage and organize it because of all the stuff I have in there. So I can't go out and play with my kids because I'm actually spending the afternoon cleaning the garage, right? This is one of the stories along the way, but it is a true story. It happens to all of us, right? You're too busy cleaning the stuff you own or managing the stuff you own to live the life you're living. So think about why a storage place is such a huge business, because we just have too much stuff, just too much of everything. And it's not just physical things. It becomes, with the phone and technology, it's digital. We are being overwhelmed left and right. And you have to look at what brings you joy, what makes you happy. This is the only real question you have, because when you start with that in mind, everything else will fall back into place. Did you need that $900 a month car? Do you even like cars? I'm not a car guy. Did you if you look at what makes you happy and then work backwards from there, you're going to see you end up with much different set of goals and a much different set of dreams than you might have, right? So we have to break away from the stuff. And everyone's different. What makes me happy could make someone completely miserable, right? And what makes someone completely happy may make me miserable. I think about certain jobs. I talk about it all the time. Just if I had to go back to, working at the Port Authority and doing our midnights again, I don't care what salary you gave me. That doesn't make me happy. That's not something I want to do. So that's the question. Once you have that answer of what makes you happy, then you work backwards from there. So, to me, I can tell the difference between a $10 bottle of wine and a $50 bottle of wine. But when you go to $500, I have no clue. I don't have that capacity. That's not something that brings me joy. I'll find myself right in the middle there. So, and the other big part of it is scale, right? We're always trying to do more. And this is what technology has done for us. This is what all this efficiency, and I'm an efficiency person. But once you get to the point you're super efficient, you're going to have time to fill. And what do you fill it with? Which goes back to that original question of what makes you happy, what brings you joy, right? But some of the scale stuff, and I see it in business all the time, you're scaling up to do more, to, be better, to do more volume, to have the capacity to make more money. Again, goes back to the why. Because a lot of times I've noticed, and even more so now, the world is spinning so fast, I'd rather be in control of one person than managing a big company, dealing with tons of different personalities and people, tons of different clients, and losing control of myself in the name of scale. That's what I think is another thing hurting us now. We want to scale. And I think that's a big part. Going back to being people, we don't need any more scales. We don't need any more online courses. Things like that. There's information out there. there's something for everyone. I'm not saying you don't need online courses, but there's something for everyone. And no one course or one thing is going to fix what you're missing until you figure out what it is yourself, right? And this is slowing everything down. This in itself of you not buying crap you don't need online. You say no to those merchants that, the other day I almost stopped for ice cream even after my Monday ice cream story. I'm like, the kids were good. I wanted to treat them to ice cream. I'm like, you know what? We have ice cream at home and they'll go get it. And that's the whole, like, hey, it's $12 here, $15 there. But this is the slowing down part that will help the economy kind of reset. And that's what we need. We need a reset of consumers getting back in control. And unfortunately, there's gonna be a piece of it that hurts us, right? Because that hurts Carvel, and Carvel lays off an employee, and an employee is now shopping less, and all these other stores, like, it's all intertwined. But in some way, we need this little bit of a reset because we're spinning too fast. We're spinning out of control. So this is something you have to fix on your own. That's it. There is no one is coming. The government is not going to fix it. The ones who caused and created the problem are not going to be the ones that get you out of it. That is always the case. So, I remember you definitely can't count on the same people to fix it are the ones that got you into the mess. So this is a you problem. This is something you have to do for yourself because, I was a cop. I could have retired at 20. I would have been 46 when I left. At that point, I would have had this freedom and the time I've had now over the past 8 or 9 years to kind of look and say, well, what does make me happy? What do I like doing? So without that, like at some point, it's going to catch everybody. That's what I'm putting it at. Whether you can find the freedom now, if I gave you $10 million and said, okay, you're good to go. You don't have to work anymore ever again. As much as that initial feel like you're going to feel great, you have to find out who you are and what you love and what you want to do. Because now money is no longer an issue. And right, for the most of us, money is the driving issue that makes every decision. But once you get where you need to go, that's where you have to look and see, well, what do I want? What do I really want? What do I really want to do every day? You're not going to go to the beach. You're not going to go on vacation. You're not going to golf every day because anything you do every single day loses its value to you, right? So once you take all that fun stuff out of it, like what are you doing that fulfills your soul? What are you doing? What are you good at? What do you actually like to do? That someone might have told you were crazy that you had this dream, right? We've all been told we were crazy at some point. I get told probably on a weekly basis. But this is like you need to push in those directions to follow and find what actually makes you happy. It might be being a freaking magician. I have no idea. You might be a phenomenal juggler. But if you don't push and look and ask that question, whether you retire at 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, at some point, the need for money is going to disappear and the need to have to work is going to disappear or diminish. And you're going to come to that question of what makes you happy. So why not ask it to yourself now while you have the chance to fix it, right? You can't do much at it when you're 70, but while you're in your 30s and 40s, why not ask that question now and then figure out to build your life around that, right? We all have one shot at this. If you're doing something that does not make you happy, fine, everyone has to at some point, but you should be planning your way out. And when planning your way out, it's not to do nothing, it's to do the things that make you happy, the things that bring you joy. I remember, I always say, like when I say no one's coming for you, years back we had an apartment and I was like, I'm not paying these people to install a carpet. It's an apartment, like we're going to leave at some point. I'll do it myself. Grab the carpet, bought all my tools, watch some videos. I'm like, I got this. Halfway through, I had lumpy carpets. My knees were killing me. I'm like, this is a mess. And I remember calling my dad and saying like, hey, what can I do here? And he's usually pretty good with solving problems. But even him was like, well, I could have called someone to help you, but like you're halfway through it now. What are you going to do? Like, I'm not going to call him and say, can you help my son finish installing a botched carpet job? And it hit me like, this is it. It's on me. There's no one coming. And that's what you have to start looking at your financial life. There is no one coming. It's just you. You have to figure this stuff out yourself. You have to ask yourself these hard questions. And it's the best to ask that while you're in a position that you don't need it. And that's the point of this whole 5-day thing is you have time now, right? Nothing terrible has happened. You can look at things. Things are starting to feel a little bit wonky, but now is when you fix it. So start with number one. Like if you don't even know, because that question, if I ask that question to a lot of people, almost no one can give me an answer. I still have trouble with my answer. And I've been asking it to myself even before I left. You got to go back like it's got to be 10 years. I've been asking myself, if I had nothing to do every day, what would I do? And sometimes it's this, sometimes it's that. What I've learned is there is no answer for me, right? I like to do a little bit of everything. I like to do a little bit of mortgage, a little bit of real estate investing, a little bit of helping someone out in a not-for-profit type of way. Like every day has to have that variety, and that's my thing, right? It might not work for everybody else, but I need to be doing those different things every day. You can give me one thing and tell me to do it every day, and it's just not. At some point, I will get bored of that, and I'll want to do something else. So that's just me. But start with removing the things that don't actually make you happy, that you're already taking care of, right? And that could also save you financially. You know, maybe you're up for a new car lease, and do you really need to get that car? Do you love cars? Does it getting in your car make you happy? Is that like, hey, no one's touching my car? I know, I'm talking to you, Roberto. I know you love your cars, right? That's your joy. No one's saying change that. But there's other things that you're doing that you can then save there. And you're saving your brain space, you're saving your money, and you're saving your time. So, and it could be online, could be subscriptions, could be apps. There is so much draining us on a day-to-day. And you just have to stop and start identifying like, hey, what am I even giving time? Like, why am I sitting here scrolling on TikTok for 20 minutes, right? Like, what was the point of that? Did I get better? Did I get further towards my goal? And having that goal to begin with, and my joy and my happiness, if you don't have that, then what did you just do? Where did that 20 minutes go? It's gone. So, you know, less of a presence on social, I think is a big thing. But ask yourself, the big question to take away today is, ask yourself what you would do if you didn't have to work for money ever again, right? What would you wake up in the morning? Would you wake up early? Would you sleep in? Because you'll see, like, I notice when I have something on my mind that I have a project I'm working on, 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm up. When I'm kind of like in a funk, nothing going on, it's harder to get out of bed because you don't have that purpose, right? But take money out of the equation and see, you know, what's gonna get you there, and start with that next purchase that you have to make, right? Do you need it? Do you really need it? Does it make your life easier? Are you going to have to store it? Are you going to have to care for it? You don't realize, like, you get a dog, and it's not that the dog, some people, their dog is their joy, right? There's no changing that. For me, that would not be something that's, hey, I want to invest all this time. We like to travel and do our things, right? But that dog comes with not just getting the dog and training it and veterinary bills. And then you want to go out and like, oh, well, someone's got to watch the dog. You see how that starts. That one decision, that one item, that one thing now controls your life. And you could be on a completely different path if you want to do, starting your own business or a travel thing. And now you have a dog. Well, you just kind of offset what you were looking to do. So start with the end in mind and work backwards, and that'll help guide your day-to-day decisions. That's where I'd start with on that. It's like a look around. Today is more of a hippy-dippy look around at what you're doing, look around at what you're buying, look around what you own. Do you really need it? Do you really want it? Is it going to really make you happy? Start there. Tomorrow, day 5, kind of recap of everything, show you some direction on where I'm going. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this little fireside weekly chat I had here. See you guys tomorrow.